Hey, how are you guys doing? This is Taban or Salty Waffles, and today I want to talk about the future of the show. It's not a sport, where it's going into 2022, and how the show's probably going to be formatted going forward. And to start off, I just wanted to talk about kind of the creation of It's Not a Sport, how it was made, the story of it, and why I'm taking it in this direction. So, if you don't know, in season 4, episode 20, we just had the 100th episode of It's Not a Sport. I have done, yes, a total of 100 episodes of It's Not a Sport. And It's Not a Sport was created because I was really at the time in a dark place in my life. I just entered college. I was going to Naperville. It's a Chicago suburb each day on the train. I didn't really fit at this college I was at. I was really just there to get my gen eds out of the way. It wasn't fun. I wasn't learning anything I wanted to learn. Barely making it by with most of my classes, and I was just not happy. My house just burnt down. Actually, we had a fire. I was living in this temp house at a time and didn't have access to a lot of the equipment that I normally had. And at the time, I wanted to do something to really motivate me, and I came up with the concept of a podcast, and I wanted to do a podcast and talk about video games because that's what I love to do. It's what I love to play, love to talk about, and I want to just share my knowledge of video games with the masses. And in the beginning, this was really concepted more in like 2017, more than when the podcast went live in 2018. But through the podcast, I looked at DePaul. I transferred to DePaul and to game design. I actually went to E3, and it was a really eye-opening experience, and I was really motivated to make something out of It's Not a Sport and this podcast. I wanted to bring my friends along with me at the time, and as you can see, if you look at those first episodes and first seasons, they weren't really into it. They weren't motivated to do something like this, and I ended up having to drop them for season 3 through 4 or 2 through 4, and uh, we got to where we are today, where through a bunch of trial and error, I improved my thumbnail art. I improved audio. Audio's been up and down, I think, throughout most of the show. But I definitely improved it compared to first season. I improved video quality. I improved formatting, where instead of having news in the beginning, I pushed it to the end, and I made shows shorter to have them more in a 30 time frame compared to the hour long that they were. And it's been a very interesting journey making the show and bringing it up to the quality that it is today. And the reasons why I am deciding probably to like stop the show or change up the formatting moving forward is because, one, it's very time consuming. Again, there's a saying that if you want to go fast, you do it alone, but if you want to go far, you do it together. And I've gone the fast route, and the show's really gone fast, where I pumped out a lot of episodes and the quality's gotten really better, and I've been able to make a lot of cool content and a lot of cool conversations about gaming. But because of that, it's been very time consuming on my end. You can see that if you look at kind of video dates within seasons, especially this last couple seasons, from the VR episode to the GDC episode, there was a very long break, and that was because I had to focus on school and actually making games in order to fulfill my goal of joining the video game industry and focus on developing and learning new things within the game rather than producing podcast episodes. It's also why a lot of the episodes are very free form talks. I don't have time to make scripts because I have to myself record it, go over all the news, which I know I miss a lot of news, think of the conversation. Then I have to edit both the podcast version, which is pure audio, and the YouTube version, make the thumbnails for both of those versions and upload it. I'm just doing that all by myself, which is takes up a lot of time. And then on top of that, during the summertime, you can see that videos get very scarce as well within season 2 and season 4, because I have to work to earn money, to invest in new equipment, to invest in like the website, and bring it up to par. And that kind of leads me to the second point, which is return. I've been doing this again for 4 years, and I haven't really seen that much of a return within the show. And people tell me, oh, well, you get all the bad shows out of the way, and you do this now, and uh, you'll see your return. You'll see those viewer counts go up, those subscriber counts go up, and that just hasn't been really true for me. I haven't had time, again, because I'm producing shows and other things in my life, to market the show as well as I probably can, um, nor the money to market the show and put out ads for the show as well. I've tried to do those things through social media, through Twitter, through Instagram, through TikTok and all that, but I don't have time to really like make art and continuously post on those sites as consistent as I can, because I also have to make the show. And so we get here where I don't see most of my viewer counts average, besides the standalone episode of the DePaul episode, which had a guest, Carlos, which stands out among the other ones of being this season with 51 views currently. Most of them cap at generally like 10 or 8 if I'm lucky. They generally sit around 3. They go up on the SoundCloud, I know, and people listen to them there, and I can get maybe like 37 views total. But I know no one's, based on like YouTube and looking at like time spent, I know a lot of people aren't listening to the shows, because again, in today's world, you have 7 seconds to hook people, because that's how long their attention span lasts. So I try to like change up openings because of that, to get people hooked really, so they'd stick around and watch the full like 30 minutes, or just have it on the background if they can. But that just hasn't really worked out, I would say. Uh, a lot of people only listen for maybe, if I'm lucky, 15 seconds, or 7 seconds, but really it's 3 seconds and then they move on. So I haven't really seen that much of a return. I don't see a whole lot of likes or on the shows either, and it's been kind of devastating to motivation to keep doing the show when I know no one's really listening. Even now, when I make this episode where I just want to talk about the future for the people who are listening, I expect no one to really listen. It's hard, because you don't see that engagement, and even negative feedback would be probably appreciated in my case, just to know that I have those haters to make the show and make the podcast and keep improving it and making it better. And those two combination of things just have made me not, or want me to change up the format going forward. If I do feel like making a podcast episode, it's going to be more in the Kendrick Lamar approach, where I only make an episode when I have something to say and something to talk about, rather than doing it weekly and in seasons like I have been doing. I want to talk about also just a thank you really to my dad and my father. He motivates me and helped me out the most with making the show and making the podcast, when it came to formatting it, when it came to naming it. He even named it. When it came to handling social media stuff in the beginning, I want to thank him. I want to thank the listeners who actually do listen the show all the way through, and who also like the video and share it, and are advocates and just fans of mine. I want to thank them. It's been I'm still motivated to like do the show. I don't want to stop it, but at this point I think I need to focus on doing other things, such as marketing the podcast itself, so that people can enjoy some of the really cool talks that I think I've done, or making t-shirt brands with like the art of It's Not a Sport and things like that, as well as just focusing on actually developing games and game design in general, so I can make it make my goal of being in that industry and being in the video game industry, rather than being producing this content for for It's Not a Sport. That's pretty much all I have to say about the future of It's Not a Sport. If there are going to be episodes, look out for it on the YouTube, look out for it on the social media. They'll be posted if I do post an episode. But for now, I think, graduating college, because I do graduate college in literally one more term. So in winter, in March, I'll be in the workforce. I need to redirect my grind and focus on other things rather than doing It's Not a Sport, where it's very difficult for me to do this all alone, and don't really see that much of a return on the show in general. So yeah, thanks for being with me. Thanks for sticking it through all this time. If you have, again, I want to thank my dad. This has been your host, Salty Waffles, Taban Lewis, signing off, and I hope you guys continue to have a wonderful climb.